Oh my gosh, look at that. One of them asked me something which I have revisited often in my mind because it's really impacted me. Oh my gosh, there it is. G'day avocado enthusiasts and welcome to this video. A slightly different kind of video for this channel, still very much avocado related. Because today I'm going to repot some things. I'm well overdue to repot quite a few things, including my oldest avocado tree. It is about 7 years old, or slightly older than 7 years old actually, and it desperately needs a repot. So I'm going to be getting to that in this video, as well as some other things, some other plants that aren't avocados. And I'm going to have a bit of a chatty repot. I haven't done one of these in a very long time, but I want to have a chat with you folk. Not about anything particular, just going to chat and see where things go. So this should be a bit of a relaxed video, so feel free to kick back, relax, get yourself, as Hyrule Gamer says, a snack or drink, and we'll get underway. And yes, I am wearing one of Becca's, Della Plants' shirts. I think it's great. Becca and Bree did a great job of making it, and I'm really enjoying wearing it. And I'm gonna get to potting some plants, but before we can do that, I realized I don't have any perlite left, and that's really important for me, especially for my avocado trees. So let's go and get some perlite. So I've come to Bunnings, you can see the hammer there, to get some. Got the goods, we're good to go. Okay, so I've got 25 litres of perlite. Let's go mix up the potting mix. For my potting mix, I like to mix up a big batch at once. So I use a big tub for this one. This is a 40 litre storage tub, and I'm going to remake it. So I've got a bit in there already, but with all of the things that I'm going to be doing today, I'm going to run out very quickly. So I'm going to mix up some more. I'm going to be using 4 ingredients today. I'm going to be using, and this is my standard potting mix. If you've been on this channel for a while, you know this is what I use. I'm going to use 1 part, the cheapest potting mix I can find, 1 part coconut peat, and 2 parts perlite, and then I'm also going to throw in some slow release fertilizer afterwards. I usually use indoor stuff because most of my plants are indoors, but I've run out and I've only got a bit of flowers, fruit and citrus left. It doesn't really matter at this point. I'm not expecting fruit from many of my plants, so I'm just going to throw it in, it'll do the job. So I'm going to mix it up. It's also good to have some water on hand and do this outside. I'm on my balcony at the moment. I've got lots of propagations that I've just potted up behind me. You can't really see those actually. Oh, that's just for me then. And because the perlite can get quite dusty, you don't want to breathe it in, so I'm going to wet it down and wet it's going in here so that I don't breathe that in, and I'm also outside to stop the dust getting everywhere. All right, let's get to it. I'm also not going to try and fill this totally because it will get quite heavy, and I need to take this into different parts of the house and outside to repot things. So I'm not going to try and make my life harder than it needs to be by filling it totally. The coconut peat, I've made up way more than I needed probably. So this comes in a dehydrated block, and you basically just add water and it expands. And I've got, that's gonna be really heavy. I've got probably more than I need. So I'm just gonna put in as much as I think I need. Just gonna eyeball it. Gee, that's got some heft to it now. Yeah, so this is expanded enough to kind of jam itself inside the bucket I was doing this in. So I've put too much in, but that's okay. Okay, this is where I need to hold my breath a bit. And wet it down. And we'll just throw in, this is not an exact size, I'm just gonna throw in whatever's left, which is not enough actually, probably, but I'll just need to remember to fertilize the plants when they're in their planters from time to time, which is part of my regular routine anyway. I now need to mix this up. Okay, so just gonna get in there, just like it's a big mixing bowl. Give it a go. And this bit's not particularly interesting, so I'll just fast forward this and then we'll have a chat and a repot once it's done. And what we're left with is this kind of gorgeous, fluffy potting mix, which will suit our needs beautifully for the indoor plants and the avocado trees that I'm going to repot today. Let's get to it. Okay, I've got the potting table out. I've got my potting mat because I don't want to make a mess everywhere as much as I can avoid it. And I've got some extra pots. I'm just going to pop them off to the side. And off to my left, I've got my potting mix as well. So I'm going to glove up and we're going to have a chat and do some repotting. Should we start with an avocado tree? I think we'd ought to. So you'll struggle to see that all on the first camera because it's a tree and it's getting quite tall. But this is one of my avocado trees. I've featured this on the channel before. This is actually the one that Magnus incidentally pruned quite some time ago now. And as you can see, it's not had any problems. It's starting to thicken up. It's getting some gorgeous woody tissue along the stem there. It's leaking a little bit out of the cash pro. The cash pro is starting to crack a little bit actually. So it's getting quite old and, oh, that's interesting. That might need retiring very soon. It's nice, but it's got, I don't know what's happened. It's got cracks all through it. Anyway, it's looking really nice and it needs a repot. I have had a small issue with this plant over the last 6 months in that it had thrips. I have no idea where the thrips came from. I have done my best to get rid of them and I haven't seen a thrip on this plant in about 3 months. I've been checking like weekly and I'm pretty happy to say that it's cured, but I'm still a bit terrified. I have no idea where the thrips came from. I have not been buying a lot of plants recently. So the fact that this ended up with thrips, this is a plant that I've had for about 4 years, maybe not quite that long. A while that I grew from seed. I have no idea how it got thrips, which tells me that something else in the collection has brought it in. I've treated everything in this room for thrips and I haven't seen anything else, but I just about dropped all of the leaves that were affected. It's got a lot of new growth since then, which is lovely, but I am a bit concerned about that. It's also quite leany. So I have staked it because it was struggling to stay upright. It's put out a branch here and then the other kind of horizontal branch is on the same side of the trunk. So I'd really like it to even itself out at some point, but we'll hopefully get to that in the near future. So I'm going to just take off the Velcro and the stake to start with, and then we can get to repotting it. It has been watered pretty recently, and I know that it's certainly ready for a repot because there are roots coming out the bottom. I repotted it about a year ago, and it's drying out like every few days. So it's going through a lot of water, which tells me there's a lot of root matter in there, and it needs a bigger pot. So first I need to select a slightly bigger pot for it. I reckon I've got it in one of these ones. I do. So the next size up will be one of these. This one, I think. This is not a brand new pot. I have bought a plant in this at some point and repotted it, and it's been sitting in my garage for the last few years for just an occasion such as this one. Let's get to it. So this is a Chatty repot, and I want to talk about just a couple of things. Nothing too heavy, I don't think. I put a question box on my Instagram stories earlier today just to see if anyone had any questions for me. A few avocado questions. I'm actually not going to get to those today, but thank you for the avocado questions. It's part of what helps me to make videos. I'm really curious what people want to know about avocados and growing them because I've been making this YouTube channel is like almost 7 years old. It'll be 7 next year. And I've answered a lot of questions about avocados and growing avocados, and I'm really pleased with that. And I am not bored of this channel yet. The goal of this channel, of course, is to grow an avocado tree from seed to the point of bearing fruit whilst documenting the process. And that is the goal. Like, I'm certainly not going to be ending this channel until that happens, until I have an avocado tree that I've grown from seed that grows fruit. Regardless of the quality of the fruit, that's what we're going to do. And I'll talk about avocado things as we go as well. And you may have noticed a slight drop off in the frequency of the videos over the last year. There was a point, 2020, 2021, and 2022, I think, where I was making weekly videos, and I really enjoyed that, but it was not quite doing it for me. Like, I was making lots of avocado and plant videos, and that was great. I need to damage some roots at the bottom of this because they are clawing on. I'm not going to be able to get the tree out unless I do that, so a bit of a disappointment. I'm going to also do some rolling to try and really loosen it from the walls of the pot. Not the walls, but I need to loosen it so I can get it out. And making weekly videos was great. I had a lot of fun doing that, but I wanted to talk about other things, and just talking about plants and avocados wasn't cutting it, which is why That's Pretty Cool came about. And I've been having a lot of fun on that channel. There you go, that seed has properly come apart now. About time as well, probably. So I've had lots of fun over on that channel, just talking about other things that I'm interested in. And that's where a part of my energy has gone. I'm still very much, like, this is my main channel. I still talk about this as my main channel. Oh my gosh, look at that. Avocado enthusiasts, check out that root ball. Well, I could have probably repotted this one a while ago. Look at that. That's why it's drying out so quickly. This is looking really healthy. I mean, look at the color of those. There's no root rot in sight here. This is a well looked after tree, if I do say so myself, and this is what they should look like. Yeah, so I'm gonna loosen them a little bit. I'm gonna be a little rough with it because it's very root bound. And I mean, I'm stoked that it's that good. Let's get the other pot out. So that's where some of my energy's gone, why I've not been putting out weekly videos. So I kind of switched to fortnightly uploads, roughly, and even that, I've not quite held that over the last year. I think it's really important that I make videos that you enjoy. I'm really interested in making videos that you find entertaining and interesting, and you learn things and you want to watch them. But there's also the flip side of that. Like, I want to make videos that I want to make and watch, and I think that, because, you know, I'm doing this as a hobby. I don't do YouTube full time. I can't really envision a world at the moment where I could. Like, it's nice to earn a bit of YouTube pocket money, but it's not going to pay any serious bills unless something miraculous happens, which I'm not closed off to, but I think that's very unlikely. Yeah, so the videos need to be interesting for myself as well. That's partly why I started That's Pretty Cool, because I wanted to make videos that were really interesting to me. Of course, I'm interested by avocados and plant things, but my interests are a bit broader than that. I've just put a bit of potting mix down the bottom, and I'm good to put the tree in now. Let's make sure it's nice and centered. And I'm okay if it has a bit of a lean, actually, because it's quite, you know, leany, off center. I'm going to backfill now with the stuff that's just fallen out of the pot. But I have also been thinking about the future and forecasting the next kind of season of life. And I'm not making any announcements today. I actually don't have anything to announce. I just know that there are a few creative things that I'm taking on in the next 12 months, which are going to take a lot of my energy. Some of them you won't really get to experience. Like, I'd love to announce, oh, I'm starting a podcast. I don't have a podcast plan. I'd love to do a podcast, but I don't have at the moment, time or the folks to do it with. I'm okay with that at the moment. One day, I'll keep you posted, but not at the moment. But there are some other creative things, maybe locally, musical things with music, that I'm going to be taking on over the next 12 months, which may impact how much time I have to make videos. Don't worry, like, I'm not going anywhere. Like, as I said earlier in this video, like, I'm committed to growing an avocado tree from seed to the point of bearing fruit whilst documenting the process. That's been kind of what I've been doing from day one. And the avocado diaries videos are going well. The trees from that project are looking really fabulous. I repotted them recently. I'll put a link in the description in case you missed it. But they're looking really good, and that's going well. So I'm not going to go away, but there may be slightly fewer videos next year. If there are things that you are interested in, I'd love to know. So please do get in touch. Like, if you've got a video idea or a question that I haven't already answered, please get in touch, because that's actually really interesting for me. Like, I'm looking to find out new things. Lots of the questions that I get asked on Instagram and even by email, I've already answered in videos, and I want to avoid, like, doubling things up, because I don't think that's creatively very interesting. And, you know, I've already made a video about it. I don't want to double up things as much as I can. So if you've got ideas, things that I haven't covered, like you've Googled them or whatever, and my videos don't come up, let me know, because I'm really interested, because I'm at the moment really happy with how my avocado trees are going. But if you've got something that I haven't covered and you're curious about, let me know. Okay, this tree is looking pretty well done. I am, however, going to do something a little extra with this one. Because it's had thrips over the last little while, I'm going to hit it with a systemic. This is an indoor tree. I'm very comfortable using systemic pesticides inside because I'm not impacting the ecosystem. Like if this were going to be outside and insects and things were going to feed on it, because, you know, like pollinators especially, I'd be a little more concerned. Like I don't want to use a systemic for my outdoor plants, but for indoor, I'm pretty happy. The systemic was certainly a factor in treating the thrips. I haven't actually made a video about it. I got some footage, so I could make a video. I kind of discovered it late one night, and I had to drop everything. I went into panic mode and I just like treated everything, sprayed them down with neem oil. It was dark. I only have like phone footage. So if you're interested in watching me do that and talk about my process, please let me know. I don't want to make something which is subpar and looks bad. So please let me know if you'd like to see that. Because I'll make a video because that's something that I haven't talked about on this channel, like treating thrips. And thankfully the thrips, whatever species that I've had on this plant, are susceptible to the systemic, because I know not all thrip species are, like some are quite resistant. That, and I've also, you know, the neem oil has also helped. So I don't know exactly what it was that solved the problem for me, but for now at least, the thrips have gone away. Yeah, so that's a bit about the channel. I generally find that I have a lot of things that I like to do, and time is something that just personally I find really tricky to balance. Like the job that I have, I'm a teacher, is quite time demanding and energy and creativity demanding, and to be able to then do other creative things at either end of the day, before or after work, takes a lot of intention and planning. And I've been able to manage it for quite a while, but as I do more other creative things, it becomes to be a bit tricky. And I really realize that it's okay for things to change a bit. Like I'm talking like I'm finishing the channel. I'm not. The channel is going to keep going, and I'm probably still going to have like videos every couple of weeks, but sometimes I won't. Okay, we have got one plant repotted. I think I'm going to do a non-avocado tree next. So I'm just going to put this one to the side. I need to water it, but I'll water it in a bit. Oh, hold on. There was a stake in that one. Let's restake it because I think it's going to struggle to stay upright long term without it. For videos on how to stake an avocado tree, check out the link in my description because I've made a video about it. So I want it to stay upright, so I'm going to push this one all the way down there. Oh, it's going through a lot of roots there. And I'm not going to have it too tight. I'm just going to use one long tie and give it enough room to wiggle, because that wiggling's actually really, I don't need that much Velcro. The wiggling's really helpful for it to become stronger. Not that it gets much wind in here, but if I put it in the path of the air conditioner, it'll sway a little bit. So it's got room to move, but it's going to be kept upright. Now I can set it aside and do something that's not an avocado tree. Let's go another older plant that probably needed repotting like 3 years ago that hasn't, and it's definitely time. I'm going to struggle to get it out of its pot. It's actually just behind me here. I'm going to get my heartleaf philodendron. This is my mother plant for my heartleaf philodendron. I have gotten so many cuttings off this. I've given lots away. I've got like a bunch of these in my classroom. It's a great plant. I actually featured this in a video back in 2020 when I got it. And it's pretty struggling now. It's struggling to get enough water because it's in this tiny pot. I'm also hoping that when I repot it, I don't just like destroy it, because at the top, there's not a lot going on. So I'm a bit nervous about repotting this one, if I'm honest, but we need to do it. So we're going to give it a go now. I think I'm going to upsize it quite a bit, actually. I think it's going to be okay if I put it in a pot like this. I need a fair bit of soil in this one. It's quite a bit deeper. I'm going to need to try and get this out of this pot. It's been in here for a long time. It's going to have roots in the wall. I don't want to break the pot if I can avoid it. I might have to. I don't want to get the hammer out though. I watered it this morning, so hopefully I'll be able to just like give it a bang and it'll just fall out. That might be a pipe dream though. I'll get in there. Oh my gosh, there it is. Well, that was way easier than I was expecting. Why is it such a small root ball? It's not even root bound. It's been in this pot for like 4 years. I don't get it, but I won't complain. Let's see if we can delicately, oh my gosh, it's so, like, there's so much plant for how little roots there are, but I'm gonna try and keep them together as much as I can. There's nothing even to tickle. And we'll backfill. The base is looking quite precarious. It's so thin for how much plant it's holding on to. I'm a little nervous. If this plant dies, I will be a bit sad. This is like one of the, I think this is actually the first plant that maybe the first indoor plant that I ordered online. Like I had it, and I think the person like hand delivered it as well, which was like, this is by no means like a rare house plant. But I still got it ordered online, I think because it was during COVID lockdowns. And I think it was because it was during 2020 lockdowns that I needed to get it delivered. I couldn't go anywhere and buy one. And my YouTube channel was starting to get more views, and I wanted to get more plants because I was inside all the time, and I did. And I've gotten so many cuttings off this plant. And I really like that about plants, actually, that they're not just one thing. I guess that they're plants, but they change over time. I think it's lovely to remember that they're living and that they do grow and they do change, and we get to see that and we get to cultivate that. And I think there's something really beautiful about seeing things in general grow and change and be different over time, ourselves included. Like, we change and we grow and we do different things. Sometimes we do things the same. Sometimes things are consistent in our lives, and those things are lovely, if they're lovely. But then there are other things which change and are new and are different, and that's okay and exciting as well. We go through seasons of life, and that's okay. I feel like in my life, things have been pretty consistent for the last 3 or 4 years, and things aren't going to change like a great deal in the future. But I just feel, when you feel like when you know certain things are coming up that are going to just be a bit different, and you might need to readjust a few things. And that's okay. Like, I was 22 when I started this YouTube channel. I'm now 28, and I'm not the same person I was when I was 22. Some of my views on things have changed. Some of just the things that I do have changed. I'm more capable of doing certain things now. Like, socially, my social groups are very different. Like, I've met people who I didn't know back then, and they've made my life better. And I think that's really lovely. Sorry, I should tell you what I'm doing while I'm down here. I'm getting rid of all the dead leaves, because on a 4-year-old plant that's inside where there's no wind, you get them just kind of hanging. And I'm gonna have a lot to sweep up afterwards, actually. There's a mess down here. A lot of yellowing ones. I'm gonna leave the yellowing ones on, actually, if they're not ready to come off, because the plant is taking on nutrition from the leaves into it so they can make new leaves without expending any energy, which I think is lovely. All right, are we good? Let's see how that goes. Gee, I didn't bring a saucer up for this one just yet. I need to take this one directly over to the sink. Or I could leave it here, because I think the next thing I need to do is outside. It's time for the big tree now. It's, you know what, I actually think it's taller than me. You can't see me with that angle. It's happened, folks. Got a tree that's as tall. It's not far off. This avocado tree, I started growing in August of 2017. I did not have any toothpicks at the time, but I still wanted to grow an avocado tree. This is like well before Scott Grows an Avocado Tree was on. Well, not that long. It was less than a year before Scott Grows an Avocado Tree came about. Threw some matchsticks in the seed. And it took about 2 months before anything happened, but I eventually got a tree, and this tree is still going. It's moved house with me, and I really like it. It's looking a bit tatty at the moment. I reckon I've probably stunted its growth a bit, because it's been in this pot for a really long time. I don't want to say how long, because I'm not entirely sure. A really long time. I'm curious to see what the root ball is going to look like, but we're going to find out very, very soon, you and I are. So let's do that. But while we do that, I did put a question box up on my Instagram earlier today, and I'd like to have a look at what people asked me. Okay, so Nat Joy asked, what is a random piece of wisdom you have learned from a student? So I'm a primary school teacher. I've been teaching for almost 6 years now, and I think it's really important work. I think when it comes to like society, I think teaching is like the work. If you want to improve societies, if you want to improve people's lives, education is the way to do it. Like, this is not just my opinion. There is a lot of research into this. Like, if you go to a third world country or a poorer country and you educate their young people, especially their girls, you will improve people's lives. There's education inequality in different places around the world, and if we bridge that, if we educate people, we can increase the quality of people's lives in almost every metric, like economically, levels of health, happiness. It gets better with education. And so I think education is really important. And so I'm a teacher. So I think increasing people's access to education is really important because education improves lives. And I'm in the business of making people's lives better. That's what I try to tell myself anyway. Some days it's harder than others, but it's the work. So let me get this. Oh, there's a spider there. Not anymore. I'm just gonna try and squeeze the pot as much as I can to try and loosen up the roots. It's a bit dry at the moment actually because it doesn't get rained on where it is in the garden. There's a big hedge that the neighbours have, which I've been trimming back on our side, but it still shelters it a lot, but that's okay. So a piece of wisdom that I've learnt from a student, and I don't think I've shared this story anywhere, but I had an interaction with a student. I was fairly early in my career. I would have been towards the end of my second year out. So I would have been 24. So still pretty young. I mean, I'm still pretty young, but younger than I am now. And I had taken a couple of students to help me with a job. It was the end of year and there was some challenging students in that year level, just behavior wise, and I needed to move a fish tank from one classroom to another because I was moving classrooms for the following year. So I thought I'd give them the distraction and get them to help me out with some lifting that I needed some help with. I managed to, I think I had a planning hour, and so I decided to, help out another teacher by keeping these students busy. And there it is. It's not bad, actually. Good looking root system. It's very twirly. So that's, I mean, that's not bad at all. I'll give it a good tickle because that's very much in its winding round and round. Great color though. Very happy with that. This is before I was using perlite in my potting mix. I have a lot of sand in here, just the things that you change over time. So I had two boys, year 6, about to go off to high school. I was going to see them for another week and then they were gone. I had them helping me move this fish tank, and one of them asked me something which I have revisited often in my mind because it's really impacted me. They asked me, they said, Scott, we're a first name school. They said, Scott, I have a question. And I said, oh, what's your question? And he says, how do you be a good adult? And I was shocked. So I knew that this child came from a really difficult, tricky background. I obviously can't share any details here, but this child was, there was a lot of unknowns in his future, and there was a lot of trauma in his past. And I was just floored by the earnestness that he asked this question of me. I'm 24, I've been his teacher all year, and I didn't really know what to say because it did rocked me a little bit. Like obviously I didn't show that because I'm the teacher, I'm the adult, I've got to, there's always masks that we wear. But this child asked me, how to be a good adult. And I think I gave off some answer like, it's about that, you need to make good choices and, good choices enable you to make better, good choices in the future as well. And good choices lead to more good choices and you get to make those choices and something like that. Like, I think on the spot, not a bad answer. But I've thought about it from time to time since then. And I'm still working that out. Like, I don't have a good answer yet. And maybe one day I'll make like a video essay on That's Pretty Cool about how to be a good adult. I don't know what realm of philosophy I need to get into, do some reading about that to find a reasonable answer. But it's something which I've been grappling with, and just that I had this 12-year-old asking me this question because they had so few adults in their lives who were good adults, who could make it work, has really impacted me. And I knew this child's context. Like, I was his teacher. I met with all sorts of people about this child, and I was just taken aback totally by this question. What this has taught me, what's the wisdom? And I made a video on That's Pretty Cool about this actual topic. I think there's no such thing as a stupid question. If a question is asked in earnest, it deserves an answer, or it deserves an attempt at an answer. And since then, questions that I might think, just at face value, are quite silly, may just be a child working out how the world works, or how they fit in the world, or working out who they are. And that deserves time and stopping and pausing to respectfully answer the question. Now, some students will ask me silly questions, like they don't want an answer, they just want to press buttons. There are silly questions in that way. But if a question is asked in earnest, I'm really firmly, I encourage people to dig deep and find answers. I think that curiosity is quite a fundamental human characteristic. I think that it's something that sets us apart. I mean, obviously lots of animals are curious, but I think our ability to inquire and understand and seek understanding, show empathy and apply learning, I think that's really a very special human thing. And I think that we should celebrate that and work hard to answer people's questions. Maybe that answers your question, Nat. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah. And now thinking, I'm still thinking, because I've not answered that child's question extremely well. What does it mean to be a good adult? I think we're all working that out. And I think there's no one answer. I think there are lots of ways to be a person, a good person even. And there are lots of different values that you might bring to that kind of thought and discussion. But what am I thinking now in 2024, 4 or 5 years on from that conversation I had a long time ago? I still think that making good choices is part of it. But what makes something a good choice? I think that's really hard to define, and it's going to be based on people's values. I think having your own values is really important. And I think values that build other people up and help people and teach people and love people are better values than the opposite, values that would not help people or not love people or bring people down. I think that there are values that are better than other values, and I think we can probably measure that at a societal level at some point. Empathy is really important, love's really important, hope's really important. And looking after people around you, looking after yourself, those things are really important. And I think that choices that embody those values are going to make you a better adult than if you do more destructive choices. Not just destructive to other people, but also to yourself. And, broadly, you're part of society. Destructive choices to yourself are, in some way, destructive to society. It may draw on resources that may be used for other things. It might mean that it's just, good choices lead to more good choices. Bad choices make other bad choices easier to make. And I think that that's something to think about. When we think about the seasons of our lives changing, that making good choices to have values and decide on the values, because I don't think life should be lived by accident. I think that we should pick the things that are important to us and embody those things. And this avocado tree is repotted. I think that's what we were doing today. Really went somewhere with that. So I know that at the moment is a really strange time to be a person in lots of places around the world. And I hope that we're able to make good choices, pick the values that are important to us, that help others, that lift people up, and also help yourself, that we can make our lives and the lives of the people around us better. A bit like what we do for our plants, I think that I made probably not a great choice with this tree for leaving it in the one pot for the last 5 years. But now I expect to see some good growth because I've made a good choice. And that's something. Let's get it into where it belongs and we'll give it a water. Oh, that looks much happier already. I know it's hard to tell because I've only just repotted it, but that's looking good. I'm happy with that. We'll give it a good water. There's those roots that have been bound in that pot for quite a number of years are going to have a bit of shock here and need somewhere to grow into. And water will help with that. As the shirt that I'm wearing that Becca designed, Or Becca with Brie, I don't know, it's Becca's shirt. It says, give yourself room to grow. I'm giving this plant room to grow. And going forward, I want to remember to do that for myself. And I hope that you do as well. I don't know if any of this has been like hearable, like audible, because I've got like the pump going behind me from the rainwater tank. I don't know how noisy that is on the microphone. It started running at the bottom. I think we're good. Well, avocado enthusiasts, I think I'm going to leave it there for today. Thanks for joining me for this chatty repot. It was great to sort of repot some of the plants that I've been meaning to do for a little while. We didn't end up doing all that much repotting. It was like 3 plants. But we did do a lot of chatting, and I've appreciated you coming along for this little journey over the last, I don't know how long this video is, longer than my normal ones probably. A lot of chatting. If you're interested in, that's pretty cool, the thing that I'm excited about doing a lot more of, there's a link in the description to that. There's also a link at the end of this video. If you want to see other things that I've been up to, I have a running vlog, even though I'm running a bit less at the moment, just because I've been a bit burnt out. I've run 3 marathons in the last 2 years, and that's a lot. So I'm just taking it a little easier at the moment. That's 4 running shoes, link in the description. If you are interested in education videos, just like that you could use in a classroom, I have a channel about that, because occasionally I make a video because I want to use it in my classroom, and I put that in a public facing space as well. There's a link down there. If you want to see time lapses with countdown timers, I started another channel this year where I've got that. I use them in my classroom, and I use them for other things as well, just when I need to have a timer. As I wanted to pair timers with something visual, like a candle burning or a sun setting or ice melting. There's links down there as well to that. There's a lot of things. I know, you know, usually at the end of a video, the experts will tell you, put a call to action. So go and subscribe to all of my YouTube channels if you want. If that's not something that you're interested in, of course, just stick around for this one. I'm also on Instagram at Scott Grows an Avocado Tree. This video is long enough. I'm going to end it there. Thanks so much for watching. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time.
Scott grows an avocado tree. Scott grows an avocado tree. Scott grows an avocado tree. Scott grows an avocado tree.